Hi guys, I'm Hiroshima Tanaka and I'm gonna discuss about the Industrial Revolution in the 17th century. So, the Industrial Revolution was a period of scientific and technological development in the 18th century that transformed rural societies, especially in Europe and North America, into industrialized urban societies. With the introduction of new machinery and technology in industries such as textiles and steel, factory machinery now mass produces products that were once painstakingly handcrafted. So, Industrial Revolution, in modern history, the process of change from an agrarian and handicraft economy to one dominated by which industry and machine manufacturing. These technological changes introduce novel ways of working and living fundamentally transform society. When was the Industrial Revolution? Though a few innovations were developed as early as the 1700s, the Industrial Revolution began in earnest by the 1830s and 1840s in Britain, and soon spread to the rest of the world, including the United States. So, in order for us to enumerate and understand the major shifts of the history of science and technology, we must be familiarized with the most significant scientific event that changed and shaped our society during the time of Nicolaus Copernicus, Charles Darwin, and Sigmund Freud. So next is Age of Enlightenment. The Enlightenment, also known as the Age of Reason, was an intellectual and cultural movement in the 18th century that emphasized reason over superstition and science over blind faith. The Age of Enlightenment, or the Enlightenment, was an intellectual and philosophical movement that dominated Europe in the 17th and 18th century with global influences and effects. The Enlightenment include a range of ideas centered on the values of human happiness, the pursuit of knowledge obtained by means of reason and the evidence of the senses, and ideas such as liberty, progress, toleration, fraternity, and constitutional government. So the next is Copernican Revolution. Copernican revolution is the shift in the field of astronomy from a geocentric understanding of the universe centered around the Earth to a heliocentric understanding and centered around the Sun. For example, at certain times in the motion of Earth and Mars about the Sun, Earth would catch up with Mars' projected motion, and then the planet would appear to go backward through the zodiac. So next is Freudian Revolution. It relates to the ideas or methods of Sigmund Freud, especially those about how people's hidden thoughts and feelings influence their behavior with respect to the causes and treatment of neurotic and psychopathic states, the interpretation of dreams, and etc. So next is Freud's topographical model of the mind. Freud's earlier topographical model of the mind had divided the mind into the three elements of conscious, preconscious, and unconscious. The conscious contains events that we are aware of. Next is the preconscious is events that we are in the process of becoming conscious. And lastly, unconscious includes events that we are not aware of. So next is Freud's structural model of the mind. Freud proposed that the mind is divided into three components: id, ego, and superego, and that the interactions and conflicts among the components create personality. Id is operating on the pleasure principle generally within the unconscious. Ego, operating on the reality principle within the conscious realm. And superego is operating on the morality principle at all levels of consciousness. Darwinian Revolution. The Darwinian Revolution was the revolution in scientific thought that took place in the years following the publication of Darwin's finding on evolution. In this revolution, evolutionary concepts gradually took hold in the field of biology, challenging traditional concepts on the origin of life, the very nature of life itself, and humanity's place within nature on Earth. Evolution, as explained by Darwin, occurs by means of natural selection. In addition, natural selection might occur because of the following: overproduction and variation. Some species produce many offspring, but not all of these young will survive. Competition and selection. Competition may or may not be able to direct, but the idea is always on the survival of organism. And lastly, environmental change. The environment will not adjust for the organism, but rather it is always the organism that will change to adapt the environment. So that's it for today's video. I'm Hiroshi M. Tanaka and see you in next discussion.